whenever you mention an IQ test online, you get a lot of discourse about it, about, for example, how colonialist it is, or how maybe how is it a good predictor for future success, or if it's a bad one. There is a lot of debates on it, and people comparing their IQ or trying to brag about it. And something that nobody talks about is like not nobody talks actually about what the IQ number is and how irrelevant it actually is. So for context, I took a test, I think maybe 6 years ago, something like this, when I was in high school. I'm not gonna say the number because nobody cares. That's the point of this video. But something I discovered was like, I watched a lot of debunk of IQ test in general, like how irrelevant it is, how it's actually measuring more of your ability to take a test rather than your actual intelligence, and how it's gonna impact your life, etc. There is I think a famous video that is like 2 hours long, debunking the and going through the history, some of the actual study that has been done on its efficacy, etc. But the one thing that is not mentioned at all is that IQ test is like one number, but it's actually the average of four, and I don't know why nobody talks about it. So it depends on like also what type of test and like how exactly you do it, but the standard one are about I'm gonna read my notes. We have verbal comprehension, so how you understand languages, etc., abstract reasoning, working memory, processing speed, and sometimes visual spatial reasoning. And what you get at the end is like four scores on this scale, on the bell curve, and you then average the four. And I feel like something that nobody talks about IQ test is that if you were taking all your tests from high school on all matters and trying to average them out and see if you were a good student. And if you do that, you wouldn't know if, for example, I'm very good at math, or I'm very good at English or French, etc. You wouldn't know that. You would just know that I'm on average good at taking tests. And that's something that is so missing into the conversation, like how useless IQ number is. For example, I would not tell you the numbers, but I can tell you, for example, how I was, and I think it's very standard, how I was on this bell curve on those different things. So I had two that were right at the average. I had one that was above the average, and I was on one that was very much under the average. And that was quite interesting to see, because for the real value I feel of taking an IQ test, and the only value I got out of it was just understanding what I was good at and what I was less good at, understanding my imbalance. And I think everybody has kind of an imbalance in that aspect. I'm sure if you were taking the test, you would get similar result as me, as getting average and having like outliers that average to the middle. And in the end, apart from that, I feel like IQ tests are so irrelevant in anything you do in life, because what's really matters is really not what's inside your head and like what your raw capabilities during the test, but more about what you're putting out into the world. How many action, which speed are you implementing things, how fast are you learning? I really love the definition of Alex Hormozy, I think, about what is the learning. Learning is about same condition, new behavior. So, for example, if I were to write, for example, a blog post, and I was optimizing, for example, for getting my point across very clearly and getting good comments about it. If I was to learning would be to post something out there, get feedback, and then when I'm making another post, change what I'm doing. If I do the same thing over and over, I'm not learning. And intelligence in this definition is the rate of learning. So how fast can you iterate? How fast can you iteration that is like my favorite word. How fast can you change things? How fast can you adjust to feedback you are receiving? And it's not something that is measured in the IQ test, and I feel like it's the only things that matter when it comes to, adapting and your capacity to adapt and to get better and to improve yourself. In the end, that's what's gonna trump everything over what score you got in the end. Because I really feel like I'm not recommending to take the score, because it will either that's why I wanted to make this video. If you get low, you're gonna feel, oh well, I'm so dumb, I cannot do anything. If you get high, you feel, oh yeah, I'm so good, I don't need to learn anything. Or there might be some variation of that, and maybe some people get the result and like actually make positive changes because of that. You might argue there was that is it the Pygmalion effect, where if you tell a teacher that one kid is brilliant, this kid will have a better result than the other because it's more privileged or more listened to, more valued, etc. So there might be some bias that is implemented by the score you're getting, like positive or negative bias. But really, the what matters. Don't feel bad if you got a low score. You might not be dumb at all. You might have just you just got the result on your test. I was always very bad at school, for example. That's something else, but I was really the least competent in my class. I was really the last one. Like you would each time we will get our result, we will have the maximum, the median, the average of the class, and the minimum. I was the minimum for most of the classes. Most of the subject I was really the least good, let's say. And yet I feel like I'm doing okay in life. I feel like I didn't end up in the street. I have a cravat and everything. I have a tie. I have a job that is well paid, and I'm very grateful for the life I'm having right now. And if I had, just like with the IQ score, if I had stopped at just the score I got in high school and how academically I was doing, because after that it didn't get better academically. Like I did a boot camp, for example, to learn web development, where I dropped out at the end. I tried to go in university. I dropped out after a year. I was very bad at it. And if I had stopped there, if I had stopped at those results, those external evaluation, I wouldn't have gone very far. So truly, any kind of grades, which is IQ or whatever grades they give you in school, etc., don't look at those, man. They really don't matter. They really don't determine what you're gonna do in life, because that's what matters is not what is inside your head. It doesn't matter how good you are at taking tests, in most careers at least. What matters is like, what are you putting out into the world? How fast can you iterate? How fast can you learn? And don't let your ego, either good or bad, get in the way. That's how I'm gonna end this episode. Thank you for listening. Please let me know in the comment, have you ever taken the IQ test? I feel like that's something I got for free. So in some countries, in some region, might be very very expensive to take one. Please tell me about it, and what's your opinion about those tests in general. I'll be very interested. Thank you for listening, and I will see you tomorrow.